Hey there, everybody. It's meteorologist Jamie Singleton. It's been a long day. Thanks for your thoughts and prayers with my cat, Dot. She went back outside. She was feeling so much better from the pain shot. She took a little nap and went back outside. Speaking of outside, we've got a lot to talk about over the next week and maybe beyond. And I want to start by saying, of course, as I always do, sometimes my excitement gets interpreted as hype. And I understand that. Nothing that I'm going to say is set in stone. This is simply what I'm looking at, and I get excited about the weather. I think it's exciting, and I think that you should be excited if you want to be, especially if you like winter weather. We've at least got chances on the board here coming up for Monday, and again on Wednesday, and in my opinion, after Wednesday. And we'll talk a little bit about that here. First, let's talk about that sunset. And this isn't the actual color of the sky, but this is a nighttime physics loop from the new GOES satellite up in space that shows basically the difference between high thin cirrus clouds, mid-level clouds, low-level clouds, and fog. And so what you're seeing there in the brighter reds, this is actually in the oranges there. This is the cloud cover that was able to refract that sunlight and bring us just a gorgeous sunset across not only our area, but I've seen some gorgeous sunset pictures. You know, anywhere you see this cloud mass here from North Carolina, and this cloud cover really wasn't expected. It just kind of moved in with the jet stream through eastern Virginia and especially across our area. So it's a little more cloudy than I really thought it was going to be. If you look at the actual sounding, this is the weather balloon out of Blacksburg. Dew points there are in the green and the temperature is in the red. So where you see them close together, this is the moisture. Basically, it's up at about, let's see, 6 kilometers. So, 6 to 9 kilometers up. That's where the jet stream is. That's where that cloud cover was. And it's a lot drier below. So it still feels dry outside. One reason why my cat's probably suffering from the allergies and the dryness of the throat there. Let's look at the pattern here. We're going to have a number of disturbances coming up, and two of them, again, Monday and then another one right on its heels for Wednesday. They're very different systems. So, don't be thinking that it's the exact same scenario both days, because you might get fooled when you walk outside. First and foremost, it's mild. We don't really have anything going on in terms of any snow anywhere in sight. In fact, this is the current weather map. And you can see here, I've got the rain snow line aloft colored in. So everywhere south of this is where it's just not snowing at the moment, no threat of it, until you get up across the Dakotas and the Great Lakes and up into the Northeast here. But this is going to change, and we do have, let me get rid of some of the stuff here on the map, get rid of the temperatures. We do have a system there coming out of Texas and out of Oklahoma. Any time of the winter time when you see a precip there coming out of the south, Albuquerque and Phoenix, you can see a little bit of a swirl there. This is always something to watch, in my opinion, because if it gets down here across the Gulf and you've got just enough of this cold air, you have to watch out for that scenario. How do we get there? Because we're not anywhere close right now. This is how we do it. I almost wanted to sing the song. This is the GFS coming up. Let me rewind here. So high pressure is off to our east. We've got nice southerly winds coming in and keeping us on the warm side. A low pressure system is going to cut inland here, not inland, but pretty much across the upper Midwest through Chicagoland and the Great Lakes. There's going to be a trailing cold front. This will be over the next couple of days through Saturday morning. And so into the weekend, it's looking more cloudy at times on Saturday. Not totally cloudy, but with a few of those scattered showers there coming up with that cold front. Low pressure system there going across the Great Lakes again with the winter weather way up to the north. So that's, again, not an immediate concern. But this front does slowly set the stage for colder air to ooze south and east. And we're going to have a number of disturbances coming up. So what we're going to do is we're going to shift the temperature. We're going to have this colder air oozing down, and we're going to have disturbance after disturbance riding in. And it looks to me like every disturbance in time gets a little more promising for winter weather. It also gets more uncertain because it's more out in time. But let's look at that. Not much rain with the front on Saturday or Sunday. The front will probably stall just to our south. And then here comes our next disturbance. Now that's interesting because it's coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. This is Sunday evening. There's some snow in Arkansas with this. There's barely some snow, but there's some. And we've got some cold air up here to the north, although it's not super cold. In fact, the rain snow line is going to be just north of us for Sunday night. Not a fresh supply of cold air, but by Monday morning, it's almost a similar setup to last Monday. We've got this low pressure system to the south. We've got just enough cold air to the north. Ideally, we will want a big high pressure system here. But there's actually low pressure not only here, but going up across the Great Lakes. This high really isn't that strong to the north. It's kind of a flat ridge, so to speak. You can see this is the GFS 18Z model. It does have snow along I-77 from in the NRV from Blacksburg down through I-81 and into the Bristol area. This is Monday morning. What you want to do is kind of time this right if you want winter weather. So if we're going to get snow, we're going to have to just use whatever cold air we have on Monday. Otherwise, it's going to be a cold rain. And I think that's going to be the case in the valleys. There's some heavier rain to our south, but the mountains here across the higher elevations, and there will be a critical elevation likely on Monday where we switch it over to that snow level and we see the heavier wet snow. If we can get that to go ahead and be in place, if we can get the snow to start as the precip's coming in there at the coldest part of the day on Monday, we could get it to kind of set in and stay there across the mountains. And that heavy wet snow, you have to watch that because when it's right on the line between rain and snow, the snow gets real high in water content and it can produce some issues with power outages and stuff like that. I don't see a ton of UPF with this, but moderate amounts anyway. So we'll have to watch this, especially New River Valley into the Mountain Empire and into the Allegheny Highlands, maybe into Roanoke and Southside and Lynchburg too. But right now I would probably guess at a mountain snow, valley rain, and it may actually be more of a white rain where it snows temporarily. It rains and switches over the snow for some folks, but white rain doesn't produce any accumulation. It's just it's rain according to the ground, which is where it gets that nickname. But that's not all, folks. Okay, so Monday goes through, and this again isn't set in stone. If it turns out a little bit colder Monday, we'd be dealing with a much snowier forecast, and it could also be a warmer forecast. We ride the line almost every time, it seems, with these little systems. That moves off, and then we have, got to watch this. This is some colder air building in behind this coming up by Tuesday into Wednesday. And by that time, it will be cold enough to where I think any precip coming up with our next system has a much better shot at being snow. The question is it going to have the moisture? So this next system for Wednesday is going to be colder, but maybe not as much moisture. However, the modeling is showing it digging far enough south to produce the moisture. The big question is going to be, can this low in South Carolina develop? This will be a Miller B. In other words, it's going to have two lows with it, one going across the Ohio Valley, and that'll bring with it a warm surge of air aloft, and then there'll be a low developing on the coast. And if that one can develop and take over, you can see it strengthens there. It does across the northeast. This could be a powerful storm in the northeast, I think. But can it develop fast enough to bring us something on Wednesday? If it can, I think it'll be either a wintry mix or snow for the day on Wednesday. In behind it, if you look at the dashed arrows here, there's still some troughiness in the upper part of the atmosphere that lingers back here into Thursday. I wouldn't rule out something developing in the models anyway, at least in terms of predicting what the models may predict coming up for the day on Thursday, next Thursday, a week from today. So the pattern kind of looks active through that time period. This is what I look for when I look for snow and I look for wintry weather. I look for blocking, basically, and we need that to happen to our north, and we need storminess across the Gulf of Mexico. So the way I see it here, going into the weekend, you can see those troughs lifting through. A lot of action down here heading toward the Gulf, so that's good if you want wintry weather. There is some high pressure in Greenland. There's a ridge off here in the eastern Gulf of Alaska, so that's good, but it doesn't quite maintain itself into Monday. You can see it hangs around for Sunday, the blocking does, but this ridge down here gets flattened across the Gulf of Alaska. That's not good. You want to see that kind of stay in place, thus the blocking. But we do see a lot of blocking here in the Arctic Circle, and going south of there into Canada here, you can see what could be the polar vortex making an appearance by the end of the weekend. And what that would do is cut off this cold air and force it south. And then any disturbances would have to deal with that cold air. So listen, this is not a set in stone forecast. If you've been following model after model and saying, oh, it looks snowy. Oh, now it doesn't. Oh, it looks snowy. Now it doesn't. I'm just going to tell you that it looks very interesting to me. And if you look at the ensembles and if you go to my Patreon page, you'll see that there's some reason to pay attention very carefully to the next week or so. By the time we go into Monday, again, our ridge is flattened off to the west, but our northern blocking looks impressive. And so I still don't know if we'll have enough cold air Monday. It looks kind of questionable because of this across the Great Lakes, but there's still enough here to kind of set the stage for maybe something interesting Monday, especially in the mountains. Now, by Wednesday, our ridge returns a little bit off to the west here. This is going into Monday night. Let's go into Wednesday here. Notice the higher heights here. Big blocking here to the north, and again, what could be our polar vortex there into the Yukon here. So we go into the southeast and we see more storminess. This is a signal of storminess. So there may be multiple storms here coming out of Texas and Oklahoma. Can they get into the Gulf or can they develop off the coast? They can if everything comes together just right, and they can in this pattern. Guaranteed? No, it's not guaranteed, but it's a setup that will, at least provide a window of opportunity, and really an extended window of opportunity starting Monday going through Wednesday or Thursday. This is actually after Wednesday. This is into Thursday, and I see another system here coming up for Friday. So if it has enough cold air, and it could be very interesting. I think we need to watch it. So what's the Euro got? Well, I'll show you a zoomed out view. I don't want to get too detailed on this video here. But again, we've got the scattered showers this weekend, mild. Ground temperatures will be very warm again for whatever happens on Monday. So it'll be very marginable, I think, if we do see anything, but you can see the Euro agrees with the GFS and providing snow for the I-77 corridor. So if you live around Whitfield and Tazewell into Smith counties and into West Virginia, you need to watch out for the snow on Monday, I believe. I believe that comes in before sunrise. It could change the rain, but it has a way of staying snow sometimes in the highest elevations as the valleys change over to rain. We could see some snowflakes area-wide Monday, but I'm not sure it's going to stick. Then behind that, Tuesday, it gets a little bit colder, and then by the time we go into Wednesday, here's our next storm system. When you start seeing storm system after storm system, it means the jet stream's getting blocked and everything's kind of going in more of a wavy pattern. There are more numerous waves, and that's something to watch too in the wintertime. Wednesday morning, we've got a colder system moving in and some rather heavy snow showing up on the Euro now through the I-81 corridor. What could be mixed, maybe snow changing to sleet as a first guess on Wednesday. But maybe staying all snow for some areas, especially west and north of the Roanoke Valley. Roanoke, guess what? Right on the edge for Wednesday, but it's a colder system compared to Monday. Let's go back to Monday. This is Monday, just a hint of snow in the mountains, right? Then Wednesday, it's more of a Northern Virginia, maybe D.C. here. My sister, if you're watching, Kimberly, she's up in the panhandle of West Virginia near Pennsylvania. That looks interesting for Wednesday. She always jokes because it changes every time. And again, it will change. But the last few runs are suggesting the possibility. Then as we go into later on in the week, I don't see a lot on this particular model, but again, I believe those models may want to show something if the upper level conditions remain the way they are. NCEP, the official, national forecasting branch of the National Weather Service, has a cold front coming through, maybe some severe weather in the south, and they may have multiple rounds of severe weather with all this activity. But this is, again, your showery and mild Saturday. Our next system, again, Sunday, they don't have a lot of moisture with it. The models are showing a lot more moisture than NCEP is showing. So either way, I do think Monday we have a fair amount of precip coming in. The model's trending farther north, but warmer with the Monday system. And then on Wednesday, they kind of have, again, the marginal threat of moisture, but whatever moisture falls, the rain-snow line's very close to the area. I think this high up here to the north is going to be a bit stronger. I think that should force, and I don't think they're going to call for mix 5 or 6 days in advance, but I do see a threat of at least some wintry mix or snow. On Wednesday, I'm not sure that we get to rain. I think that our choices that we're going to have will be all wintry. Just a gut feeling. So show you some of what I've been doing here. I've been very busy over the past couple of hours on my Patreon page. So this is all for $1 a month, just $1 for 30 days. But all this stuff that I'm showing you here costs money, and I pay for it out of my own pocket every month. So to help offset that, I've written some blogs here. So if you like looking at all this stuff, this is a freebie that I just posted. The one right there with the colorful map, 2 potential winter events, Monday and Wednesday. I'll look at the pattern there. But if you look at 8:26 p.m., I posted the ensembles that are more promising. So if you like looking at snowfall totals, you might like that blog. You might want to sign up. And then I look through all of this for you, basically. And then at 8:13, right before that, I posted a long post on what all the models are showing in more detail. They're just models, but if you want to, hint at maybe what I'm looking at, you can go there on Patreon, and I've got the link for you, or you can just search me on Patreon, JB Singleton, and it'll show up. Just to give a little something away, this is the ensemble of the Euro. So we take the Euro model, we look at it 51 slightly different ways, just to see if there is any pattern to it. And there is. If you take it out through Wednesday, so this includes Monday the Monday system and the Wednesday system, yeah, there's some snow showing up in our area. And to look at this, you have to look at just any little value and any little trend. Notice how far south the trace of snow goes, at least on the ensemble blend here. It goes all the way down to almost the Georgia mountains, northern Georgia, into the North Carolina area. So there is if you kind of look at it, there's a little wave here, a swath of active potential wintry weather. Now, there's not a lot showing up in the average right now. This is the mean of all 51 models combined. But let's see, that's a value of 2 inches there, 2 to 3. 2 to 3 inches for an average model solution this far out is significant. And even a trace is. So I'm looking at that very carefully. It's not the biggest winter storm or potential that I've seen, but it's definitely not what we had last year where we had nothing going on. I do think that some areas are going to see something Monday and maybe even more on Wednesday. Threats are for heavy rain in the interior Northeast, some heavy snow over the next 3 to 7 days. And beyond that, it may calm down a little bit. That would be in a week or more than a week. Next probably 2 weeks or so. Jet streams tend to relax after all that. So that's a look at things. I would, you don't have to watch me all the time. I'm just saying that you may want to follow the weather in general. You could do it on your own. For instance, this site is tropicaltidbits.com, and again, it's showing various computer models here that are rather interesting. Low off the coast, low coming out of the south. This time of the year, you got to watch all of them. So there's 2 coming up, and I'm going to post my 7-day for tomorrow. You'll see that tomorrow, what I've got for the next 7 days. I'm working on some regional 7 days as well, hyper-local 7 days. It takes a lot of manpower, basically. And there's also going to be further updates on my Patreon page as we get closer to all of this. So that's your update for right now. I definitely see something coming up for next week. Whether or not we can actually get the earth and Mother Nature to cooperate, whether God wants to send the snow or not, is still up in the air. But the air looks like it wants to do something. The jet stream looks like it's trying to tell us something in the modeling. So I'll leave it at that. Have a good night. We'll talk later.